Alberta Beef Industry Conference, and I am joined by
Andrea Brocklebank, Executive Director with the Beef Cattle Research Council.
And Tim Alexon, Chairman of the Beef Cattle Research Council.
To get this
also a producer from Saskatchewan.
Oh, and also a producer, yes, good to know. To get this interview started, I just wanted to talk, Tim, you mentioned we're at the tipping point for moving forward with research. What does that mean?
Well, a couple of things, really. What it means is that when it comes down to the funding aspect and the ability for us to move forward with any sort of an accelerated plan and moving into our strategic planning, just the dollars that we need to move forward, number one. Second of all, where we are in the ability to use the new technologies and those sort of innovation too, and what don't we know and where do we have to go with those kind of things. Thirdly, just getting the new clusters and where we're doing the developing of the first two that we dealt with, and now solidifying us on the value of where we move forward and getting it done right, into the next round. Andrew can speak far more intelligently with that than I can, but that's what I meant by that. There's that tipping point of decision making that's we're getting into an accelerated portion of let's prioritize it correctly.
Research is critical for everything we do. If we're wanting to ensure food safety, demand, quality, all of those things. And productivity obviously is huge. Our industry is going to be tasked in the next 10, 15, 20 years to do more with less. We need to be efficient, and so improvements in productivity, whether that's addressing reproductive efficiency, feed efficiency, the utilization of forages, we have to invest. At the same time, and it's a complex discussion because, research funding's declined. Governments used to fund a significant amount of research, and that's declined, especially over the last 20 years. And what's very clear now is if industry is not at the table investing, government is not at the table investing. And, that's on several fronts, whether it's production efficiency research, food safety, beef quality, but also this whole new realm of social license research. So being able to provide science around things like animal transport, animal care, antimicrobial resistance, and environment, and our environmental footprint. And so, what's really critical is industry's role in that. And we've been working really hard to have a national strategy and to get all the funders to work more effectively together. So we're not duplicating things. But one of the biggest challenges our industry had over the last 10, 20 years is we've been guilty of maybe focusing on the issue of the day and not looking at the overall portfolio. And when you got things like forage and feeds, it's a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year investment. It's not you're going to go invest today and fix the problem tomorrow. And so moving forward, we're trying to be a lot more careful about making sure we're keeping the eye on all of those balls and investing, but that also means that industry has to be at the table with money. And frankly, right now, we invest on average 15 cents of every national checkoff goes to research, and that's leveraged usually on a 1 to 3. So $1 we contribute, government contributes 3, but we're not able to address all the areas we need to, and we're not able to access all the government programming or capacity, and that sends a signal to government that maybe it's not a priority when in fact it very much is. So we have a huge amount of stuff that needs to be done in the next while, and we need to be at the table both communicating our priorities, but also too making sure that we're investing and making that mark.
So we've heard some rumblings of the national checkoff going up. Is that because of all of the reasons you gave?
Absolutely.
Is it going to happen?
Well, the national checkoff going up is a decision made by the provinces ultimately and producers, and I take it very seriously when I tell producers that we think it needs to increase because it's their money. But bottom line is right now we're not able to address all the priorities that industry is telling us are priorities in a meaningful manner, and ensure even that there's research teams to address them. So things like forage, we have 3 forage breeders across Canada, and that's a challenge when you're dealing with the complex issues that you are. So I would say, we're looking at that there needs to be a potential investment increase, and ultimately government's saying, industry's got to be at the table. It's not going to be them that's going to bear all of that. So, and I think what's very, very positive, and I'd like to emphasize, we did see an investment increase in research over the last 5 years, and what it meant is our first science cluster was a $10 million cluster. So industry was at the table and the government was at the table. this last science cluster, with increased industry investment, we were able to take that to a $20 million cluster. So basically, we put $5 million on the table, and government put 15, and that's some of the most robust research programming that we've seen. So when we come, and if we can in a meaningful manner, we can do some pretty good things.
Tim, are you hearing a lot of pushback from producers about increasing checkoff dollars?
No, not really. I mean, again, with that, there hasn't been enough of an awareness out there to bring it forward. So in reality, I got to answer it that way. The pushback's not there yet. But the people you do draw out and specifically ask them that are engaged, and they're engaged in the industry themselves, are completely and 100% behind you when you detail the plan and the strategy and what you're trying to build forward of an investment into their industry and where it meets the road, sort of. So the people that I've talked to and engaged with, you bet. Let's get on with it. We're working in old dollars, and it's an opportune time to be moving forward with our industry because of where we are globally, not just because where we are in Canada of our industry, where we are really on the influence that we should be doing, and it's also their responsibility to, and understand it's their responsibility to have to be at the table to be invested in, so that all governments and all universities and all organizations then know that there's a weight behind you. That's part of the accountability if you come to the table with those dollars. It's to me, it's logical. It's just completely logical. We do have to get more engaged, but at the same time, producers have to start asking questions too and get more engaged and reach out to do that. And we can't just be dragging them along all the time. And the innovation aspect of them acknowledging the rewards from this, I think, are real.
Is there any project happening right now that you guys are particularly excited about from both of your unique perspectives?
One of the ones that I like is we used to have a lot of projects going on where it was one researcher, one province, and with the programming and the coordination that we've been able to accomplish through the council, we've got 2 forage programs right now that are an east one and a west one, and on average each of them has about 5 different researchers collaborating, and that's huge. That's unique and something that we haven't seen before. And the benefit of that is they're sharing varieties developed in one province that may not work to other provinces where it may in fact work. And so there's a lot more efficient transfer of knowledge occurring, and it's seeing benefits in terms of reducing duplication. So I think all of the projects we're doing are great, but I really see some of that stuff coming forward. And one of the areas that I always struggle, producers at the end of the day, they get improvements in productivity. You can really give them a bottom line that this will help you, but some of the work we're doing around providing science to ultimately inform policy and regulation around animal transport and animal care and antimicrobial resistance, we've seen the benefit of that in the fact that our industry, when called to committees, standing committees, or when working on these regulatory processes, we can come with the facts and they're taken seriously. And that's going to be increasingly important too, as we have to communicate with the public what our industry's doing. And so probably the biggest one, I'm really excited on that piece right now, is a lot of the work being done around the environmental footprint of our industry, which is not only trying to measure that and demonstrate that we've seen improvements, but also point out the good things we're doing, like biodiversity, those types of things. So we've talked about those stories for a long time. Now we're trying to put the science and the numbers behind them.
I know it's true, and I want to add, a couple of different things on that one. Is that, highlight first of all what we're doing that develops the policy, helps develop the policy. But, your question on what I'm really proud of right now, 2 different things is our tech transfer. Getting away from project by project, but the ability in what we're doing, in what we're doing and partnering of the tech transfer and that dissemination of that knowledge and what we put together is so exciting for us, and what's being in the uptake and the people that are getting engaged.
Yeah.
That's number one. Second of all, our mentee program, and it's bringing young, articulate, intelligent researchers and placing them in different positions in the research field but tying them with producers. And there's that link of, you know, laboratory and land sort of thing, and moving the knowledge forward. That's the best thing really for us right now. I mean, I'm really excited about that. The projects speak for themselves. You know, we work hard to develop the decision-making process through that through the national research strategy. But where we're extending that, I think that's where our successes have to be really prioritized also right now.